Hey everybody. Well, first of all, hi. Would like to say that it's great to start this blog. Obviously, it's an idea I wanted to do a long time ago. Just didn't have the chance, or just didn't get myself organized to do it before. But anyway, better late than never. So yeah, thanks for all the questions everybody sent. I'm gonna try to do this regularly. If you guys have more questions, just keep sending it through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll try to put it all together and try to do this as often as we can. So I'm going to start with the English part, and then I'm going to do a separate video for the Portuguese questions. So yeah, let's start from the Facebook questions over here. I'm going to have a list of a few questions over here. So first question is from Pam. My plans for 2015. Um, we're still working on it. Obviously, had a great season with Rallycross this year, so that's going to be a great, uh, probably a good chance that we're going to be doing Rallycross again. But nothing is tied up yet. Um, as you guys know, there's a championship. There's the FIA championship in Europe, and there's the championship here, Global Rallycross. So we're still, trying to see what the options are in both. But yeah, for sure, I would love to do Rallycross again because it's great. I mean, I had fun. It's such a great atmosphere. The races are exciting, so that would be for sure a good option. Obviously, people are following the Formula E season. Obviously, that has just started, but it's something that I want to continue next year as well. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously, the championship's gonna clash too much because we need to do one or the other, and obviously if it clashes, it's not good. But yeah, I think I should by hopefully by Christmas we should have a good answer on what's gonna happen for next year, and I'll keep you guys in the loop. Second question from Will: Is there any tracks, car combos in the world that you would like to race or haven't raced yet? Uh, yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, I've raced pretty much everything um, in my career. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's a good question, actually. I think the Indy 500 is something really interesting that I would like to do. Obviously, if it would be with the right team and the right car, it could be a good opportunity to do it. Um, obviously there's a big risk factor because it's a pretty dangerous race. But I think if you're in a good team and you have a good preparation, um, it would be a fun race to do. Another race that I've done only once that I would like to do again is the Le Mans 24 Hours. It's an endurance race which I love to do. I did it with Aston Martin back in 2005 or 6. I can't remember very well. But yeah, I mean, we finished fourth, and it was a great experience, and I would love to do it again. So, question 3. Nelson, would you ever want to try racing for a Sprint Cup? Yeah, I mean, sorry, reading questions over here. Yeah, I mean, NASCAR obviously was an amazing experience. I had the time of my life racing over there. Made a lot of friends. Racing, obviously, in NASCAR is amazing. I mean, after racing in Europe for many years, racing in NASCAR was, I learned a lot. I mean, it is just being in those ovals, it's very difficult for a European background racing person to understand what NASCAR is about, and only really when you um, start racing, go to Daytona, and all the tracks that have been here in America was NASCAR. It's only after you really go through the experience that you really start to appreciate the racing over here. And no, I would. So going back to your question, if I would like to do Sprint Cup, I would love to do it. If I had the chance to do NASCAR for 5, 10 more years, I would. But unfortunately, it was very hard to get sponsors, uh, especially to get high dollar sponsors to do proper to to be racing with a proper team. And I think it wasn't worth doing it was a team which couldn't compete to win a race. So yeah, it was. We never know. I mean, I'm still trying to get a few things together, maybe to do the road courses and stuff like that. But at the moment, until we don't get a proper, a proper deal, which would be a car that could win races, unfortunately, I don't see myself doing it. But you never know. I mean, still a lot of years in my career ahead of me, so it's not over, definitely. Question from Vinicius. What um, what could happen if a non-driver who only raced in karts before tried an F1 car? Um, don't really understand the question, but from what I understood, a driver that only did karts tried an F1 car. Um, I mean, it's a pretty big step. Obviously, you've seen a lot of drivers that went from go-kart, done 1 year, 2 years of open wheels like Kimi Raikkonen or Max Verstappen did, and then they just jumped straight to an F1. Even that's a big step. I think going from go-kart to Formula One, it is pretty harsh. It's difficult to imagine that because it's a whole, as much as, let's say, shifter karts is the peak of go-karts, and it's the most similar to F1. It is still a big step, and I don't think it would be a very good idea. I think the driver, he still needs a good base, a good knowledge of being inside a cockpit and the position that you're driving in. Um, it would be a pretty big step, I would say. So, question from Roberto Costa: why don't you try IndyCar? Um, well, honestly, when I came from Europe to America, there were so many Brazilians already in IndyCar that I don't know. I just wanted to try. I just wanted to do a different route, a different path. I knew I knew NASCAR. I mean, Brazilians weren't. There wasn't a big history of Brazilians in NASCAR, so it's something that intrigued me, and it was an invitation. I mean, one of the reasons I came to America was because I got an invitation from NASCAR to come to do a few tests, and after the Daytona. So at the time, IndyCar maybe was an option, the same level as NASCAR, but I decided, obviously I got the invitation first from NASCAR, so I came in America, I did the NASCAR test, and then I did Daytona race, and after that I just fell in love with NASCAR, and obviously it was a route, a path, which I thought it would be a great idea to do because I could be, well, I was the first Brazilian to ever win races in NASCAR, which I won in K&N trucks and nationwide. So unfortunately, I didn't do it more, but yeah, I think IndyCar. I don't know. It didn't intrigue me as much as NASCAR. I think NASCAR had a more of an edge. It was going to be more. It was going to be more difficult. Um, it was just a bigger challenge, and that's what I was looking for. Obviously, the next challenge. I think IndyCar. I don't know. I think it was a mixture of me wanting a bigger challenge uh, and also after I did Daytona and the trucks in 2010, I just honestly I fell in love with NASCAR, and I just wanted to do that route. Um, Question from Luis Andrade. This year, you have tried many kinds of cars. which was your favorite? Um, Honestly, I'm a race car driver that I like any kind of racing. From a rallycross to a NASCAR to go-karts. I like it all. I enjoy it all. I think the important part is having really, obviously, number one is having a competitive car that you can go on track and you can compete to win races. And number two, having great environments around you. Having good people, having people that support you, people that trust you, people that you can trust. I think that's the most important part. So, in Rallycross, I had an awesome season. I had amazing people around me, and it was one of the best atmospheres I had around me since a long time. But I think in general, I was pretty lucky in my life to have good atmospheres in NASCAR. The first, I mean, practically every year that I had in NASCAR, I try to keep my boys together, and I always had a great time with them. They all took care of me, and we were a good family together. So yeah, so going back to your question, I like it all. As long as you have a car that you can win a race every weekend, that's the most important. I just enjoy driving go-karts, rally crosses, Formula E. I enjoy driving anything. The important part is having a good group of people around you and having a car that can win a race. Next question: how is driving a Formula E car? Formula E car is obviously for who doesn't really know what Formula E is. It's a 100% electric car. There's no fuel whatsoever. It's basically a Tesla racing car, open wheel. And no, it's pretty fun. It's very different. Obviously, it's not a very powerful car, but it's under development. It's the first year that they're running, so it's gonna take a while. Like everything. It's gonna a year after year they're gonna develop it more. The car's gonna become faster, and it's gonna be better. But I'm driving the Formula E at the moment. It's been a good experience. Me and the engineers were learning a lot of different things. Efficiency is a big part of the game. You need to be really efficient and quick at the same time. You need to be really smart, not to waste energy. So there's a lot of strategy that goes on during the race. But it's a fun car. It's good to be back on an open wheel. It took me a couple of days to get used to it again. But last race we did great in Malaysia. We were running. I was about to pass Truly, so we were about to, we were going to be in the podium easily, and then Truly, obviously, for who saw, squeezed me in the wall and ended up breaking our car. So unfortunately, we couldn't finish the race, but it showed our pace, and it showed that we can do well. So hopefully in Uruguay we can finish in the podium. Next question: if I'm going to focus in one category next year, or I'm going to continue the marathon with different races or different categories. I live to race. My life is racing. So if I could race every weekend of the year, I will. So if I can do 2 championships that won't clash, that would be the perfect scenario for me. I know it's a lot of traveling. I know that sometimes it can be exhausting, but it's what I love to do, and I enjoy it. This year I did rallycross and a little bit of Formula E. Next year, the Formula E season is gonna go till the middle of the year, and rallycross should start around March or April. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but these 2 championships, they are only about 10 to 12 races each. So hopefully I can do 2 championships, and I can do about 25 races a year. I think that would be a good number. Question from Rodrigo. You have plans of coming back to NASCAR? If yes, which category appeals you more? like I said, I mean, I would love to come back to NASCAR. You know, it's a great championship. I had a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends. But I would only come if it's with the proper team, proper funding, and you know, to be able to really do well. You know, um, so I would, you know, I think one of my desires, and I think it's very possible, is to win a truck championship. So I would love to come back and try to win a truck championship, and I think one of my goals would be to win one Sprint Cup road course. You know, I would like to get prepared for that and try to do that, and that would be a good box I would like to click. Um, so yeah, I think winning a truck championship and winning one road course and cup, that would be my goal if I would be able to get a sponsor and come back and doing NASCAR properly. A few more questions now from Instagram. Does the Mitsubishi Evo I drove last year have really 400 horsepower? Well, I mean, I only did about 2-3 races last year in Jersey with the Mitsubishi. It was underpowered for sure, but it was a private team, you know, a team that was just starting up and having a feeling for GRC. So yeah, it was a little bit underpowered compared to the other cars, but it was fun to have a good feeling to start to just to see how Jersey was all about. Um, question: If I'm gonna next question, am I gonna focus more on Rallycross or Formula E next year? Like I said, I don't know yet. That's gonna depend on the deals that we have on the table. So I'll know more about that more around Christmas. Uh, Next question: How did you find the inner strengths come back? So, question number 3: How did you find the inner strength to to come back after F1? I think it would be a good lesson for anyone who's struggling in life. Well, for sure, for sure it was a hard chapter in my life, um, since I was 8. I fought hard to get to F1, and obviously, um, you know, was in the wrong time in the wrong place, got involved with the wrong people, and yeah, I mean, I think the important part the lesson that I've learned, or that I went through is or the one thing I was scared of is that the passion that I always had, the dream that I always had, uh, you know, it, it's the passion and the dream that's it's gonna make you go the extra mile, that is gonna make you really fight harder, is gonna make you move that extra bit, and that was my main worry when I left F1 and came to NASCAR. That was one of my worries, that I wasn't going to have that really that strength to really go the extra mile. And to be honest, after I did Daytona for the first time in NASCAR, it blew my mind. It just woke me up again, and it was like I was 8 years old again, and it was crazy. I mean, I was so happy because um, after I did that race, it just made me have the same feeling I had when I was a young kid again. To really, oh my God, I really really love this, and I really want to. Uh, you know, it's hard to explain it into words, but when a dream of yours gets crushed a little bit, uh, you sort of in my I was a bit worried that I wasn't gonna have, like I said, that strength to really go the extra mile, and and after I did Daytona, it really woke me up again and it showed me, okay, it's not only F1 that made you move. NASCAR was one of those that really uh, motivated me and really touched me. I mean, the racing in Daytona was amazing. You know, being three wide, four wide, and cars all around and wide open at 200 miles an hour plus. You know, that the adrenaline that drove into my body in that race really moved me, and it just woke me up again. And yeah, I mean, I had to start from basically from zero again because stock car is a whole new ball game, and had to really learn how to drive those cars, and it was a big learning curve. And you know, I had 3 very good years, you know, winning races in all the series that I did. So you know, I think we did well. You know, I would have wanted to win a championship in trucks, but I moved into Nationwide, I think, a little bit too early. Um, but you know, going back to your question, you know, it is never give up of your dreams. You know, I think I learned that my dream wasn't just F1. It was, you know, especially after I did drove NASCAR and rallycross and, you know, different kind of racing. It just really affirmed to me, to myself, that, you know, I'm not in this sport because of the glamour, because of F1. I just love driving, simply driving. You know, I mean, like I said, I could be in a go-kart track every day, and I would be the happiest guy on earth. You know, and after the race in Argentina in January, Formula E, I'm gonna get a plane, go straight to Homestead, and I'll spend 2 weeks over there for the first race of the Florida Winter Tour. Basically doing go-kart, sleeping at the track, and being in my go-kart every day, and that's what I love to do. So, yeah. So, a few questions from Twitter. How's Charlie and Alan? We need your cats update. They're doing great. Obviously, we have 3 cats. When Brooke moved in with me, she brought Oski, and he had 4 legs when he moved in, but we lost one, unfortunately. But he's doing great. You know, we're a happy big family, and we may be looking into adopting a dog. So we'll see. Traveling a lot, but we really want a dog. It's especially Brooke. Which series of racing has been your favorite? Would F1 be your number one choice opportunity? If the opportunity arose? Well, I'm very realistic, you know. I'm already 29 years old. It's not like I'm a young kid anymore. So F1 obviously was always part of my dream, but you know, you have to be realistic. At one point, it didn't work out. You know, I did other things. You know, obviously, if I had a real choice of doing maybe, let's say, trucks, NASCAR trucks, or back on F1, I'd probably choose trucks because, you know, it's something I really would like to do. It's something I think we could win a championship in if we was a proper team. And no, I would like to be the first Brazilian to win a championship in NASCAR the same way I was the first one to win a race. So yeah, I mean, don't take me wrong. I love F1. It was a great time, you know. But time went by, and I think it's time for different things now. What do you think about the fan boost in Formula E? Do you think it gives much of an advantage? Uh, I think it's a good idea, obviously, the fan boost, because I think it's a good way for Formula E itself to really push themselves on social media. You know, makes all the drivers really promote the series. Um, if it's an advantage for the driver, I mean, it is a little bit. You know, I tested it in practice because we all get one in practice just to give it a try, and it was, you know, it was a good extra horsepower, but it wasn't like easy overtaking. Bruno Senna behind me during the race. I noticed that he used the fan boost, and I blocked him in the inside, and he wasn't able to pass me. So it's not a guaranteed overtaking maneuver, but you know, any little boost helps. Okay, well, anyway, Hope this helps. I mean, I'm sorry about if I didn't answer everybody's question, but this was the English part, and I'm gonna start the Portuguese one. Take care. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for all the questions, and if you have anything, obviously send it to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we're gonna do another blog soon with more questions.